And I use the term loosely. The machine behind me, 66 XLCH. It's got a story to it. They all have a story, but this one's got a story to it. My customer says this was owned by his grandfather, I believe, who was a Marine. And apparently they have in their family a tradition where the bike is passed on to the oldest living Marine in the family. So it went from his grandfather to his father, his father's brother. So it was his uncle that owned it. Apparently his uncle died, and he then became the oldest living Marine in the family. So the bike went from his father's brother, his uncle, to him. And now he's going to give it to his son, who is also a Marine. So it's a family heirloom over here. It doesn't run. Well, it runs now. It didn't used to run. And this thing has been giving me fits. The guy had it at a couple of shops in Florida. They couldn't figure it out. And he had it shipped in to me. And it has kicked my ass. Initially, I couldn't get it to... Well, I couldn't get it to run. It wouldn't run. You know, you kick it, you kick it, you kick it. Wouldn't fart, wouldn't do anything, absolutely nothing. I took the magneto out, did some bench testing on it, and it seemed like it worked halfway decent, but yet the bike would not run. So put a new coil in the magneto, put a new magnet in the magneto, and it would occasionally start and run, but not easily nor reliably. So it had a Tillotson carburetor on it, which really looked brand new on the inside. It looked like there was nothing wrong with it. But nonetheless, it wouldn't run. So I took one of my junk Bendix carbs off of one of my junk bikes. Well, it's not really a junk bike. It's going to be a nice bike one of these days. But anyway, I took the radial Bendix off of that bike, bolted it on here. Fucking thing runs great, starts easy. It's a 1 or 2 kicker. Very happy with it. The owner said, do whatever you think you need to do with it to get it running reliably. So that's where I'm at right now. Now that I've got it running reliably, I want to make it driving reliable too. And to the best of our knowledge, best of the owner's knowledge, this thing hasn't run in at least 10 or 15 years, maybe even longer. It's got Goodyear tires on it, so I don't even know the last year Goodyear made motorcycle tires. It was quite a while ago. So anyway, it's going to get new tires, new tubes, new rim strips, because, the sidewalls are cracked, it's dry rotted, they still got tread on them. He thinks his son is going to want to start driving it every day. Who wouldn't, So it needs good tires on it. So the wheels got to come off, which means the brakes are going to get checked. The axle, the wheel bearings are going to get checked. The swing arm bearings, as long as I got the rear wheel off, I may as well pull the swing arm and check those bearings out. They're probably fried. Probably need to drain and flush the front fork tubes. Probably needs steering stem bearings checked. It needs to be rewired. Everywhere I touch a wire and twist it or bend it, the insulation cracks off. The bike sustained some shipping damage on the way here and kind of pooched the handlebars over and, did some other things. Anyway, to fix all of that, I had to have the headlight off. And there's that gobble wiring behind the headlight shell that's always a mess. And those wires were literally crumbling in my fingers. So it needs to get rewired. I'm trying to keep it as stock as possible, as original as possible. There are some things that unfortunately are going to have to get changed. Like, for one, the carburetor. The Tillotson is going, the Bendix is coming on, so that means the old Harley throttle with the push wire is going to go, and it's going to get a conventional throttle put on the handlebars. The wiring, Harley used that tarred wire with the cloth covers on it. That's going. It's in that cloth braided kind of housing. That's going to go. I've got some fiberglass sheathing that I use. much more durable and pliable, will stay good for 100 years probably. So that's going to get replaced when I do the wiring. I'm not going to repaint it. I'm not going to powder coat it. I'm not going to really do anything much to the engine. I'm probably going to check the valve adjustment, change the push rod gaskets. Primary's coming off because I had it driving and I could feel the clutch is not quite right, which something that's been sitting for 15 years. It probably needs to be cleaned out at least. We'll see what the plates look like. Engine remarkably good. Compression 155, 160, very very good compression on it. It's seeping a little oil, but I'm not planning on pulling the rocker boxes or anything like that. It's not really dripping anything. It's pretty clean, pretty dry. Well, maybe it'll get a little something done to it. Probably going to change the oil lines because they're probably 66. So what does that make it? 34 and 24. That's 68 years old, 58 years old. It's old, very old. Yeah, it's 58 years old, so everything rubber on it is suspect. But this video, I want to show you some things about this bike. I believe it to be a very, very, very original 66. It is truly a survivor's bike. I mean, this is a gem in the rough. And as long as it's running good, which it seems to be, there's no reason for the engine to come out. There's no reason for the engine to be rebuilt. I did change the oil on it. There was no metal flake in the oil. So, yeah, seemingly a good motor. And we're just going to leave it be. But I want to show you a few things. So let's take a close look at some stuff. These rear shocks look original to me. Black springs, not chrome. I've never seen a Harley shock with this kind of arrangement on the top spring retainer. This is really nice. Usually it's that pretty crude arrangement, the welded on eyeball, but this is nice. This is nicely done. So yeah, I like that. Original voltage regulator. The bike has no battery, so Harley had this big capacitor installed as original equipment to try to keep the lights from dimming out when you pull up to a stop sign, which I always thought was kind of an enjoyable thing about it. The lights dim out when you go to an idle. Okay, so it's the dead of night. You're sitting at a stop sign or a stoplight, and when you most need to be seen, your tail light looks like a fucking cigarette glowing in the darkness. Safety features #1. So I'm doing this for you guys that you want to see an original bike and you want to know how to put it together. Well, this is what one looks like. I'm also doing this for myself so that I could document where the original wire routing is, the clamps, all the knickknacks and the doodads, so that I could keep it as original looking as possible. The wiring, a lot of it is secured with electrical tape. I don't know whether that's original or not, but it will be replaced, I'm sure, with zip ties. Up under here, the steering dampener, looks like all the bits and pieces are there. None of it's fallen off the bike yet, which is good. Rear brake light switch. The cardboard's a little deteriorated, but it works. I had it running and I checked it. It works. Original setup. The little bracket standoffs on the primary screws to space it out. You got your round-headed screws on there. I believe that's all original. Notice the original clamps and things over here. This cheesy coiled silver shit's going to go. But the clamp for the clutch cable, that's original. You got a clamp for the speedo drive cable, that's original. You got a little clamp over here for the retard cable, that's original. It's nice to keep all that and reuse it. So I'm going to, and I want to try to keep everything routed as it originally was. This little doodad is the reset for the speedometer. I'm not sure that this is where the original location was. It's missing the knob, but I'm going to do a little research on that, and if it's not original, I don't know. I may do something with that. But anyway, speedo reset. Uh, over here, over here, the gators have a vent tube, and of course, you know, when the forks are bouncing up and down, you need somewhere for the air to get in and out. Well, this is the wear. In order to keep moisture from getting in it, there's a tube over here that connects the two of them with a T that's pointing down. This will keep moisture out of there. But yeah, this is what Harley did. So that's pretty cool. The fork tubes are not chrome. This is a cover, and this is the way the old Sportsters were. My 61 has got the same arrangement on it. The original lower fork covers, the XLCH is embossed into the steel, you know, and this steel feels like twice as thick as the newer ones. No crappy ass foil decal, embossed in the steel. Nice. Original magneto. The retard cable routing and clamp looks to be all original, and it works very nicely. It's unusual to find one of these where it's all intact and where it actually works very nicely, but this one does. Your mechanical tack cable looks all original. The cable and all that works, the tack doesn't, and I may get that fixed. Okay, the carb, not original, a Bendix. A new Bendix is going on here. This is one of my used Bendixes. I'm keeping this one. This has the pull type throttle, not the push type throttle. And these carbs work so much better. The throttle response is, you know, it's instantaneous. The push ones, it's a very slow reacting thing. Just by changing the cable, you think the bike gained about 15 horsepower because it moves so much faster than the push type. Here is the original push type cable that was installed originally. It works good, but even when it's working its best, it's nowhere near as good as a pull type throttle. Exhaust. I believe these are original mufflers. This little turn down piece, I haven't seen that. Well, you know, you've seen things like this, but I've never seen one installed on one of these mufflers. And I assume the owner did this, or somebody did this. I don't think this is stock, but I think they did this to keep all the soot off of the rear pipe and make the bike run a little cleaner. Original style tail light and license plate bracket. I'm just going to do a walk around here just to kind of document the bike in the as received more or less condition to use as my own reference when I get around to putting it back together again, because shortly here I'm going to tear it all apart. It does have a 12-volt electrical system, which is nice. In the trip over here, the bike shifted in the trailer it was being hauled in, and the tachometer got jammed up against the wall of the trailer and bent this bracket and such in here. So that's why I had the headlight off, because I took this all apart to take the bracket off to straighten it out. Oil lines. When I change these, I'm probably going to change them one at a time so I could, you know, remove them from the bike, measure the length, and duplicate the routing upon reinstallation. Back here, hard to see the goddamn thing. The chain oiler, rear chain oiler. I usually recommend just plugging these or shutting them off. But all in all, not a bad old, very original looking specimen. Yeah, I think this bike's going to be a lot of fun once some of the old age stuff is taken care of. The bike hasn't run in, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years. So it's been gathering dust. And really, it's pretty clean for something that's been sitting around that long. But anyway, the owner now wants to get it running and drivable and pass it on to his son, who is also a Marine. So my job is to not only get it running and driving, but to make it, reliable daily for a daily rider. And that, I think, is going to be fairly easy to do. Just a heads up, when I got this thing, it did not run at all. Kick and kick and kick and kick and absolutely nothing. Even with ether sprayed down the throat of the carb, I couldn't get it to fart or spit or anything. So it seemed like the magneto was bad. Put a new coil in the magneto, kicked and kicked and kicked, and once in a while it would maybe fart. I maybe got it started once in there, but still really not satisfactory. So change the magnet in the magneto, and of course you got to take the carb off every time you take the mag in and out. And I had the mag in and out of this thing, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times. So of course every time you got to reset the time, put the carburetor back on. Really a pain in the balls. So most recently changed the magnet, and I put a Morse Magneto neodymium magnet in it, and on my bench, thing tested great. I mean, it was a flamethrower. But anyway, put the magneto back together, put it back on the bike. It started every so often, but still not reliably or what I thought was well. So I started looking at the carb, and it had a Tillotson on it, and it looked really good. I mean, it was clean. I pulled the bottom off of it, the diaphragm in there looked okay. It wasn't leaking. It looked like it should work, but yet it did not, or at least the bike did not. So I got one of my old Bendix carbs out, did a quickie cleanup and rebuild on it, and put it on here. Works great. The Bendix fixed it up. And I think, for the record, I want to say I've never seen a Tillotson carb work correctly on a Sportster. I guess there are those people who say they're the greatest things since sliced bread, but you couldn't prove it by me. So anyway, engine runs good. Engine starts easily. It's a 1 or 2 kicker. Very, very happy with the way the motor is performing, at least initially. Just FYI, compression both cylinders, 155, 160, very good. It has got a couple of little weepy oil leaks I might take care of. But my primary job is going to be to do all of that stuff on the maintenance schedule in the front of the book, the front of the service manual. That most people never read, but I'm going to do all that stuff in the front of the manual that you're supposed to do every 5,000 or 10,000 or 3,000 miles, whatever it is. So we're going to take the wheels off because it needs new tires. It's got Goodyears on it, and I don't even know when Goodyear last made these tires for motorcycle. Late 70s maybe? So these tires are old. So anyway, it's getting new tires. The wheels are coming off, so the wheel bearings are going to get re-greased and cleaned and replaced if necessary. The brakes are going to get checked out, replaced if necessary. While the rear wheel's off, I'm going to pull the swing arm out, grease the swing arm bearings. While the front wheel's off, I'm probably going to flush out the fork oil and tubes. Probably going to pull the steering stem out and replace it. Probably going to change all the rubber oil lines. I'm definitely going to rewire it. Every wire that I've touched on it, when you flex it, the insulation cracks. This has got that tar-covered, cloth-wrapped wire Harley used to use, so it's going to get modern wiring. This crusty old, crumbling in my fingers sheathing is going to get replaced with some modern fiberglass, black, well, kind of a vinyl fiberglass heat-proof stuff. No, it won't be original, but I'm going to route it the same way as the original is routed. Going to use the same color wire per the wiring diagram, so that will all match up. But yeah, 12-volt generator already. This is going to be a fun project for me. I'll document what I can for you while I'm working it. And with that, I am out of here. So expect several videos in this series as I dig into this thing. In the meantime, we'll talk to you later. Bye. Just a quick reminder, you can help support and grow this channel, first of all and most importantly, by hitting that subscribe button. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to do a little more, join me on Patreon. Links down below. So go ahead and join me on Patreon if you feel so inclined. And finally, coffee cups, stickers, and gas tank covers are available. This is a new design coffee cup. I like the old ones, but I like these new ones even better. Links will be provided in the description down below. Get yourself some. And thank you all ever so much for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. Bye.